So thank you everyone for joining us today for the School Violence Prevention Program webinar. We're super excited to share information about the funding available to you and how we can help you protect your schools with technology solutions. Throughout the duration of the presentation, if you do have questions, please use the Q&A chat on the bottom right-hand part of your screen. We have a lot to cover in 30 minutes, so if we do not get to your questions, we will follow up with you directly to answer them. I'll hand it over now to Ryan Kastner from Aspire to kick it off.
Great, thank you, Katie. And once again, thank you everybody for joining us this morning for our webinar on the School Violence Prevention Program, also known as SVPP. Thank you to Cisco and to Single Wire for hosting along with us and providing us with some experts today for our presentation. So I'm going to kick things off. Again, my name is Ryan Kastner, an account executive here with Aspire. I'm going to talk a little bit about us here at Aspire, introduce the topics that we'll be going through, and then introduce our speakers from Cisco and Single Wire. So I know we have some customers on the line here today. We also have some prospective customers. So if you don't know who we are, Aspire is an advanced technology solution and services provider. We have industry experts, engineers, architects who partner with you to custom design, implement and deliver highly complex yet simplified cross-architecture IT solutions. We're headquartered in New Jersey and have customers throughout the Northeast. Digging in a little bit more, I wanted to take you through the 6 architectures where we mainly focus. You can see on the screen we have enterprise networking, collaboration and audiovisual, cybersecurity, which is obviously top of mind for everybody these days with ransomware and malware threats, data center and cloud, mobility and wireless, and Internet of Things. For each of these architectures, we help our customers with a host of managed services as well. As mentioned, it's any of the architectures above, but also our fastest growing, which is Managed Detection Response, or MDR. We also have a very robust customer success practice here at Aspire that we're very proud of. Our customers have a customer success specialist who ensures that the outcomes that are promised and are designed at the beginning of any engagement are met and that the solutions are adopted. We also have a robust project management organization for any service delivery that we partake in for our customers. They work directly with a project manager who is PMO certified to ensure that the project is completed from start to finish. We have a host of solution architects, some of which are on the line with us today. Keith Heckel is actually going to speak a bit on Meraki, and the solution architects are available to you for a consultative approach to help design and build out anything that you need. And then we pass it to the service delivery team where we have engineers available for the service delivery side of things. So a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start with Cisco on SVPP funding overview and some updates for you so you get a full breadth of the program. And then we're going to kick it to Cisco Meraki for solutions on campus safety. Last but not least, we'll be kicking it to Informacast for mass notification system or Single Wire. So I mentioned the name Cisco, Meraki, and also Informacast. So would like to thank our partners for joining us here today and providing us with the experts you see on the screen. We have Emily Moulton, who's a public funding advisor at Cisco. We have Katie Antonetti, who's a product sales specialist at Cisco Meraki and focuses specifically on the U.S. public sector, and Ken Roscoe, a channel manager with Single Wire. So with that, I will kick it to you, Emily, to start us off.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Hello, everybody. It's great to be with you today. As Ryan mentioned, I'm a public funding advisor on Cisco's public funding team. Our job exists to educate you, the customer, about grant funding and other types of funding that can be used to purchase educational technology. And I especially love talking about this COPS School Violence Prevention Program grant because it provides funding for safety technology for K-12 schools. I used to work in K-12 schools for 6 years prior to working at Cisco, and so my heart beats extra hard for all the K-12 educators on the call. I have a great a great deal of respect for all that you do for schools. So this grant is exciting because, as you know, E-rate funding, which is phenomenal, it does not provide funding for cameras, and it does not provide funding for any other security technology. This grant does. So if you are new to this SVPP grant, if you've never heard of it before, I am so excited to introduce the basics to you about it. And then please remember, our public funding team, myself in particular, I am available to meet with you when you have questions about this grant. If you do decide to apply, you need some project management support. That's another reason why our public funding team exists. So please keep that resource in mind. So for the next 9 minutes, I'm just going to cover the basics of this grant and also give you some action items that you can take away from this presentation to get started on this grant. So what's the purpose of this grant? It's all about providing funding to improve security on K-12 school campuses and in K-12 schools. This grant is funded by the Department of Justice, and technology is absolutely an allowable expense for this grant. So what you're going to hear about today, the Meraki cameras, single wire technology, all of that can be funded with this SVPP grant. Next slide, please. In terms of eligible applicants, the eligible applicant list includes K-12 public school districts. I know that's the majority of the customers we have on the call. I do want to note at the bottom of the screen in red, private schools cannot be lead applicants. Please take note of that. I'm going to repeat it. Private schools cannot be lead applicants. However, you can be a recipient of the funds. You need to partner with a lead applicant for them to actually apply, and then they can designate you as a sub-recipient. But I think for most people on this call, you are a K-12 public school district, and you absolutely can be a lead applicant for this funding. Next slide, please. It's very important with this grant, just looking at some of the numbers, that you pay attention to the deadline, of course. So if we just start on the left side of this slide, the grant application window is currently open. It opened March 15th. The deadline to apply is May 17th. It's a little confusing. There are two deadlines listed. There are two different places where you need to register and then submit your final application. So don't get too thrown by that. Look at the funding potential. The maximum award amount is $500,000. We have absolutely had customers we've worked with who have won that maximum award. Here in Indiana, there's a customer an hour north of us who won $500,000, implemented the Meraki camera solution using $435K of that. And so truly, these grants can be game changers for your school district. If you need to implement more security technology solutions and you just don't have the funding, this can get you off the ground in a really big way. It's also great press for your school. Parents will love to see that you are going the extra mile to secure funding for security for your school campus. Take a look at that local match. You do need to provide a 25% local match. So sometimes that's going to determine how much of the award you actually request. The average award size falls between $300,000 and $350,000. You do have 3 years to spend the award money and use your local match. So if you don't have that 25% in 1 year's budget, you can spread that over 3 years, and that can be really helpful. Look at the top right in that chart. This grant has been around since 2018, and it will be funded through 2028. So, best case scenario, if you're in need of a camera solution now, it'd be great for you to apply this year. But realistically, if it's just not going to happen this year, know that this grant will come around the same time next year and the year after that. Also note, you can be an applicant more than 1 year. So if by chance your school has already won this grant before, no problem. You can apply again. You can be awarded more than 1 year. Also, I want to call out the school district types that are awarded. So last year, 65% of awardees were in rural school district designation areas, 17% suburban, 18% urban. So it really doesn't matter where your school is located. You can be awarded this SVPP grant. The key is just in the narrative portion, which we're going to discuss here in a minute, how you present your need for security solutions and then requesting the funding to meet that need. I will note in the bottom right corner of this slide, camera solutions are what customers most often are using this SVPP funding for. And obviously we have an amazing Meraki camera solution that Katie's going to talk about, but there are other security solutions that can be funded with this grant, including the InformaCast solution. And so it doesn't have to be just one thing that you put in your application. The Department of Justice wants to see that you have a complete school safety plan, and any technology that supports the implementation of that school safety plan can be funded with this grant. So that's really good news. Next slide, please. We just love grants that support technology. So I was a middle school guidance counselor. I know what it's like this time of year. You have spring break you're dealing with, and then after spring break, it is a race to the finish line to just end the school year. So it's not great timing, frankly, that this grant application overlaps that into the school year timing. And I'm just going to be honest, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. To apply for this grant is going to take some extra time on your end. I do want to remind you that return on investment is huge, especially if you win that maximum award amount. So keep that in mind as you are applying for this grant. When you're reaching those, what feels like roadblocks, and you think, I don't have time for this, push through, it's worth it. We talked to a customer who won last year, and she said there were multiple times last spring where she thought about just quitting. But fortunately, she was partnered with our team, and we helped support her through the process. And she's thrilled, of course, that she was awarded. So, be encouraged. And then also take a look in October. This is when awards will be announced, the first week of October. So from a practical standpoint, as you're thinking about when you want to implement your camera solution, if you request this grant funding for cameras, you cannot purchase anything until on or after that award date. So some schools are wanting to get their cameras implemented in August, start of the school year. I understand that. You have to wait until on or after you're awarded. You cannot reimburse yourself with these funds. So just keep that in mind as you're planning your project. Next slide, please. All right, what are some practical to-do items for you? Number one, in the white box, we suggest don't try to fly solo on this. If you're a director of IT, you really need to get a committee together. Obviously, you need the backing of your superintendent, but then it's going to be helpful to have your CFO or business manager in the planning stages. Also, if you have a school safety department lead, a facilities manager, and probably most importantly on the right side there, the grant writer. Maybe you feel like you love writing. Typically, IT directors don't list that as one of their favorite activities, not to stereotype. And so I would just encourage you to utilize the resources within your school district. Ask if anybody else in your school system has written a grant before and would be willing to write it again. Experience really helps. Or tap an English teacher on the shoulder, get them a sub for a day. They could knock out a 6-page narrative probably a lot faster than someone who doesn't love to write. So just keep that in mind. And then in that middle portion, get your demo. If you haven't gotten that already, you're going to see it today from Katie, but schedule a more in-depth one if you need it. And then you will have a budget portion of this grant, and you will want some updated quotes in that budget portion. And so obviously, you can use the wonderful support of Aspire and the Meraki team to get you any quotes that you need, along with the Informacast team as well. And then that bottom box in green, I'll repeat what I said earlier. Our public funding team exists to support you, the customer, as you pursue a grant such as the School Violence Prevention Program grant. So we cannot put pen to paper and write a grant for a customer, but we have a lot of best practices we can share. We can even offer some proofreading services for your application narrative. And so don't do funding alone is our tagline. Definitely include us as a complimentary service to our customers. We are here to support your efforts. Next slide, please. All right, just to wrap up, I'm going to blitz through these. A school safety assessment is not required, but a lot of schools like to do that prior to their application so they can include that. So that might be something you need to schedule. Next slide, please. And then you probably have a school safety, I'm sorry, this is the project narrative. I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to go in detail with this, but definitely schedule a follow-up call with us to get more of those best practices that I mentioned. And then the next slide, please. Do include a mental health provider in your school safety plan if you haven't already. And then finally, the last slide, we're going to send you this slide deck. We have some resources there. Maybe even consulting with other SVPP awardees in your area would be a good way to kind of pick their brain for what worked for them. So I am now going to hand it over to Katie Antonetti, who is going to give you a wonderful Meraki demo. And thanks so much for the time. Everybody, is great to be here today.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. Really appreciate it. Hello, everybody. I appreciate the time today. This is going to be also very quick, and I know a couple people have already mentioned it. We encourage you to reach out for a more in-depth information overview and live demo, of course, of the system. But to just kind of start off and level set, I wanted to talk about the architecture of our platform. As mentioned when I was introduced, I cover all of our K-12 schools across the U.S., but I specialize in our physical security solutions. So right here in my hand, I have our one of our newer cameras, actually. This is an indoor-outdoor, it's outdoor-rated fixed lens camera here. And we do things very differently on the cloud managed space. And when people think cloud managed, they think cloud stored. We're not necessarily storing video in the cloud. We're storing video in most cases just on the camera itself. We have ample storage on the camera. So that means this camera isn't just a camera. It's the camera, it's the storage, it's the compute, and it's the video management software all built in. So you don't need any other pieces. It's PoE. It can be operated over Wi-Fi as needed, of course, but PoE IP cameras. So the great thing is we don't need network video recorders. We don't need a massive SAN or NAS to end up having to now manage that as well. Everything is right here, and we're distributing the risk. So each camera owns itself from that perspective. And so, you know, with our kind of on-prem systems, if one box goes offline, and box I mean like an NVR or something like that, all of the cameras that are pointed to that stop recording. And we're not talking, it's not a one-for-one relationship. Here, we distribute that risk with each camera owning itself there. Now, from moving on from the architecture standpoint, or I guess one other thing I want to point out is we use very high-end solid-state storage. We're not using removable micro SD cards or anything like that in our system, and also high-end processing chips. I like to think of the camera as my smartphone. Emily's heard me say this way too many times. I take a picture on my phone, I take a video on my phone, it saves to my phone. It's the same concept. So from there, we can access the video from anywhere because it is cloud managed, which means it's accessible through a browser. Many of you probably have home-based security cameras at your house. Those would be residential type cameras, Ring, Nest, Arlo, something like that. And you're used to being able to pull it up on a mobile app. Well, I'm going to show you what ours looks like here in a second. So we can access the video from anywhere, which means we can be out and about. We can be walking our school campus, which means our school resource officers can access that and they don't have to be at a laptop, a desktop in a security operations center. We can, because it's cloud managed, we're going to push all the updates down from the cloud for you. You schedule those so they're non-disruptive. That means you're always going to be on the latest and greatest firmware. All the videos encrypted end to end as well. So I mentioned the mobile app already. We have a few different ways to view our video. If you already know Meraki and you're a Meraki customer, you've seen it before, you'll notice something that's really missing here on this slide, which is our dashboard. Dashboard is where we manage the system. We set up our resolution, our frame rate. That will give us our retention time. We set up the field of view for the camera. All of that is done in dashboard, but what we have for our users of the system are these great ways to interact with the kind of the management of it from a viewing perspective. So I mentioned the mobile app. I'll show you another slide on that. We have our vision portal that's down below in the bottom right. It's for camera only users. We have maps in it. We can jump around between cameras just by using those dots that you see in the top left of that map. And we can do that both with live and historical video. We also just recently launched in February Meraki display via Apple TV. So it's bring your own Apple TV device. I'm sure the Aspire team can help you there as well. And you can just display video walls that way. So we have quite a few customers doing that in the K-12 space for their administration in the lobby area. What more does that mobile app look like? Because this is something I'm very excited about. We can actually, we overlay events on each other. So on the far left, you're going to see a person walking towards us in what could be a green or blue or teal colored shirt, depending on how you see it. And down below, we actually overlay those images so it sums it up. I don't have to watch that clip if I know I'm looking for somebody walking away from that camera field of view. And on the far right of the screen, what we see here is the ability to actually draw on our screen an area of interest and say, only show me when you detect in motion in this specific area, and actually only show me if you detected a person. right? So we do people detection on our cameras. We also do vehicle detection on our outdoor cameras. Now, I want to talk about two different use cases. One of them, securing the perimeter, right? That's definitely top of mind when I'm speaking with customers. And we do a lot of that out of the box, of course, with our cameras, but we also are an open platform, meaning we integrate with a lot of our ecosystem partners. apps.meraki.io will take you to our ecosystem place. And what we can see here is we have, for instance, an integration with plate recognizer, so for license plate recognition. We also have a great partnership with Genea, which is cloud managed access control. So if you're interested in any of that, that's something that we can, us and the Aspire team can help bring the full package to you. Another quick thing, or another, hot topic that we talk about is securing classrooms and just doors in general. And so also with me today, I have our MT20 open close sensor. So it's two pieces. Our sensors are operated off AA battery that come with, the sensors come with the batteries, so you don't have to worry about that. The batteries will last 3 to 5 years, just depending on how much activity the sensor sees. And a big thing here is the ability to alert if a door stays open versus it just being open. And I'm going to talk about that more here in a second. But a great partner of ours in this space, and you're going to hear from them very shortly, is from Single Wire Formacast, right? We can integrate with their system to be able to, where they then send the mass notifications. I don't want to steal their thunder at all. We also have, I don't have it with me, a sensor called MT30. It's a smart automation button. We use it as a teacher assistance button in classrooms. We have quite a few customers doing that. So it's two press options, short press or a long press, and it's all via API. So anything that you can program via API, you can ask this button to do. So like I said, teacher assistance button is a pretty big use case in this space for safety. Going back to that open close sensor that I talked about, these sensors pair with via Bluetooth Low Energy to one of our cameras or one of our access points. Okay, so it's definitely all Meraki stuff. We also work with some Catalyst, Cisco Catalyst access points that run in Meraki mode. So Bluetooth Low Energy is how they connect to our dashboard. So it just needs to be within Bluetooth range. But a great thing that you can do and that we work on with a lot of customers is setting up flexible alerts and time-based alerting. So don't alert me if the door gets opened. I expect people to be walking in and out of doors, and I expect those doors to be opened and shut. But do alert me if that door stays open for X amount of time. Because maybe somebody just accidentally didn't close the door all the way, or perhaps it was maliciously propped open. So we can have alerts set up based on time-based. We can also do it scheduled alerts. We don't want to be alerted during certain hours, perhaps. And then we can actually get those alerts to our phone via text message. Of course, we can do email or push notification via the mobile app, right? And then we can go kind of rectify that situation. So how does it come all together? Well, I'm going to play this very short video for you and narrate it. Here we have the ability to use what we call sensor sight. So we're going to take an open close sensor. You can do it with any of our sensors and link it digitally to a camera that is viewing that sensor. So this is our product manager's house. You can see in the top left, you'll be able to see it a little bit better in a second, that this sensor is on that door. We have alerts set up to say, alert me if that door gets opened. We're going to hover over those alerts, those red bars there, and it gives us a thumbnail image of what is taking place. We're actually going to go to the camera though. So we're going to go to that full video, and we're going to be able to then interact with the video, fast forward, fast rewind, play it back faster if we want to, or slower. And you can see at the very top here, we have the sensor itself and on the door frame. We can add those sensor details to our timeline. And then from there, we can hover over and go back into our sensor page. So everything is a click-through model, which I love. Super easy to use. And we thought, I'd love to show you the demo. So because I think I have 20 seconds left, I'm going to show you a teaser of what the Vision Portal actually looks like. This is a live view out of our San Francisco office. This pier that you're looking at is over 1,200 feet away from where this camera is mounted on the 4th floor of our building. And we can see the Bay Bridge and a big cargo ship going through underneath. So I would love to show you more, but with that, I'm going to pass it over to Keith at Aspire. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Katie. So yeah, like everyone else before me had said, this is something that as Aspire, we're a full service integrator. We can deploy all of these systems. We can manage everything too. We also provide services as far as to where you can place the cameras, and we can show you what those cameras would look like in a predictive format too. So we can come on site and do assessments on all of this. As far as managing the dashboard, you can reach out to us. We can go through what those services would include. Same thing with the installation and any demos. So if you want to reach out to either Ryan or anybody else that's a moderator on here, we can set you up with a full service demo to show you the vision portal, show you dashboard, show what the switch configuration would look like, as well as any of the sensors. Along with that, we also partner with Janea. We have a pretty strong partnership with them, so we can include installation costs. We can show you a demo as far as what that would look like, and we can go into further detail. I don't want to steal too much time from Ken, but I'll pass you guys over back to Ryan and Ken and Stephen. Thank you so much.
All right, Ken, I just shared the screen and you're ready to go.
You bet. Thank you very much. Appreciate the time, everyone. And I'm going to hop right into it. So SingleWire, you can go to the next slide. SingleWire is based in Madison, Wisconsin. We have been doing this a long time with Cisco. We value Cisco's partnership. SingleWire is a mass notification, critical event management organization. But we've added a couple new things to the equation as well on the visitor management side. And, we've been doing paging, for 20 plus years at this point. We've been around 20 years, so very successful, very stable organization, and 7,000 customers worldwide. A lot of those in that K-12 space. Probably the makeup of the customer base is about 25%. So next slide. If you go to the first column there, a lot of you know us as Informacast, right? The company name is SingleWire. The product name is Informacast, and it does a lot of different things. And a lot of our integration points are based on feedback from you, the customer. We want you to integrate with this digital sign. We want you to integrate with this IP speaker. All of the things that Katie and Emily talked about as well. Those integration points are really key in what we're servicing in the marketplace. We take a lot of feedback from our customers. So if you want to see the product, get in a room with us. We can remote demo into our demo center in Madison, Wisconsin. We demo the product very successfully, and we can show you all the different scenarios that we can do, whether it be fire, tornado, active shooter, chemical spills, whether it's a manual type of notification that's coming through or an automated notification that's coming through. All of that can be done very well in the Madison remote demo center that we do. The next product, and this is a product that we acquired at the end of last year. It's a visitor management company called Visitor Aware. And basically, it is the ability to be able to walk into a school, get a picture taken with an iPad, let's say. You also scan your license simultaneously. Now it has your name and your face linked together. And basically, it runs it up against all the necessary checks, whether it's federal or Interpol or sexual offender databases and things like that. And that lets the person know if you're safe to proceed or not. The way it integrates with Informacast, if we don't want that person entering the school, the admin can hit a button and call somebody down, whether that's security or principal or administrative staff, to be able to deal with that person. It also will look at injunctions. So it's integrated with the student information system. So if that person has an injunction against them where they can't see their child and things like that, it activates that as well. And then there's a student side to this that helps with, rostering and reunification if that event happens. We just had some bad weather here in Chicago. There were tornado sirens were going off all over the place. Once we get the all clear, we can send a note to the parent or guardian to say we've gotten the all clear and we can reunify with the student. And it helps with that secure pickup as well. And then the last component to this on the SingleWire side is all around these duress solutions, whether it's a mobile panic button from your phone, a wearable panic button that teachers and administrators are now wearing around their necks, or maybe something on the wall as well. So again, that's feedback that we've gotten from customers and partners alike. If you want to see the product, certainly reach out to somebody at Aspire, and they know how to get a hold of myself and the local team there that supports you. If you go to the next slide, This is kind of an example of the trigger messages that we can take in. And I mentioned the manual and automated portion of this, and then the messages that we can push out, whether we're pushing that to desk phones or IP-based speakers, digital signage, a lot of the mobile components as well, and obviously the collaboration tools as well. I think I hit my mark. I apologize if I didn't, but you can certainly reach out to me. The Aspire guys know how to get a hold of myself, and again, the local team in the Northeast there. I will flip it back to Ryan, and it's all yours, my man.
Great job, Ken. Thank you very much. And you certainly did hit your mark, as did Emily and Katie. So thank you guys. Really appreciate it. So folks, hopefully we got as much information as we possibly could for you in this 30 minutes. We like to keep these brief, but obviously, as mentioned by all of our presenters today, if you'd like us, Cisco or Informicast SingleWire, to expand on any of it, or you need any assistance, we can certainly help. So I think Emily put her contact information in the chat box, but you can also, if easier, or if you'd like, contact us at Aspire, and we're happy to route you wherever you need to go. So you see on the screen there, info@aspiretransforms.com. So that's the best way to reach us. And any questions that you may have, also feel free to send them, and we will do a brief that we'll send out to everybody who joined today. Thank you again for your time, and thank you, Cisco and Informicast, for joining us, and we appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.